Welcome to the Top 10. Today, we are going to show you our list of top 10 open-world co-op games. Stay with us through the whole video so you don't miss any of the games. Let's get to it. Number 10. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Like its predecessor Wildlands, Breakpoint is a tactical shooter game set in an open-world environment. It is played from a third-person perspective and uses an optional first-person view for aiming weapons. The game world, Aurora, is an open-world environment that features a variety of landscapes, and these can be used for tactical advantages. Players have a variety of ways to traverse the open world, controlling various air, land, and sea vehicles. Ghost Recon Breakpoint's cooperative gameplay is a core feature, allowing players to team up and tackle the challenges of Aurora together. This article delved into the specifics of Breakpoint's co-op experience, addressing common questions and offering insights for both new and returning players. Whether you're looking for a squad to raid bases or prefer to explore the vast open world together, Breakpoint offers a robust multiplayer experience. Number 9. State of Decay 2. State of Decay 2 is a zombie survival game with an emphasis on scavenging for items, in which gameplay is experienced from a third-person view. The game is set in an open-world environment and features cooperative gameplay with up to 3 other players. The player can choose from several locations to build a base, then reinforce and improve it with various facilities like watchtowers, gardens, sleeping quarters, kitchens, workshops, medical bays, to help keep survivors safe and healthy. Part of the game is balancing the use of resources, food, medicine, ammo, and construction materials. They can be obtained by scavenging or trading with NPCs. The player can interact with survivors outside of their group, trading with them, helping them, or recruiting them. Only one survivor can be controlled at a time, though the player can ask an AI-controlled survivor to accompany them, and in certain missions, one or more AI-controlled survivors will accompany the player. Cooperative multiplayer is also available, allowing the players to recruit a friend to temporarily join their game to assist them with objectives. Number 8. Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland. Unlike the first 2 games in the series, Heartland would have been set in rural America and the fictional town of Silver Creek. The game would have featured 2 major game modes. The first mode, Storm Operations, is a PvPvE mode which can support a maximum of 45 players. In this mode, players would fend off against agents from a rogue faction known as the Vultures while surviving a virus. The second mode is named Excursion Operations, a PvE mode in which players would complete missions and collect loot gear. At launch, the game would have featured 3 character classes: Weapons Expert, Medic, or Survivalist, and 6 playable characters. In addition, the game would incorporate elements from survival games. For instance, players would need to manage their hydration level. Contamination zones replace the dark zones from previous games, with their locations always shifting. Players would need to use breathing filters in order to access these areas, but would receive much more valuable loot. The game also would feature a day-night cycle. The artificial intelligence of the enemies in the game would be more alert at night. If you are into this kind of game, you should definitely try this one. Number 7. Enshrouded. Enshrouded is a survival action role-playing video game played from a third-person perspective. It supports up to 16 players at once. The game's world is set in Emervale, an open world which can be freely explored by players. The overworld is where players can build their bases, gather resources, and craft new equipment and gear. Players will be able to summon friendly non-playable characters to their base, who will then provide players with new crafting recipes and quests. Players can also explore areas which are covered by a thick layer of fog named the Shroud. These areas are dangerous as they are filled with hostile monsters, and players can only stay within it for a limited period of time before their character dies. However, players can find valuable loot and treasure chests which regenerate regularly in the shrouded area. Like other survival games, players need to manage their hunger and thirst level. However, hunger and thirst only affect the player character's efficiency in combat. Drinking water boosts the player's endurance, while eating food boosts their constitution. Enshrouded also has a sleep mechanic. Players can use a variety of weapons to defeat enemies, and they can dodge and parry hostile attacks. As players progress in the game, they will unlock new talents, further boosting their combat capabilities and allowing players to specialize in one of 3 archetypes: melee focus, magic focus, and ranged focus. Each archetype has 4 specialties such as barbarian, wizard, or hunter. They will unlock a glider and a grappling hook, both of which aid their traversal in the game's world. If the player character dies in the game, players will keep all of their equipped gear and crafted items, and only lose all of the raw resources they have collected. If you are into survival medieval fantasy type genre, you need to try this one.
Skills. Flameborn. Call upon your allies, and together take back your realm.
If you are into cozy survival co-op open world game, number 6 on our list is Palia. Palia is a life simulation massively multiplayer online game developed and published by Singularity 6. An open beta version was launched in late 2023 on Microsoft Windows and Nintendo Switch. Players work to become a member of the Kilima village by gathering and crafting materials. Player skills include fishing, foraging, hunting, mining, insect catching, cooking, furniture making, and gardening. Kilima is the hub area in Bahari Bay with higher-level resources, and server-wide events happen based the day-night rotation. The player characters are humans who have suddenly arrived in the world of the Majiri and joined their villages. If you think this game is for you, then hop on into the world of Palia and try it. Number 5. Elden Ring. Elden Ring is an action role-playing game set in third-person perspective. It includes elements that are similar to those in other From Software-developed games, such as the Dark Souls series, Bloodborne, and Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. The game is set in an open world that players can freely explore the lands between and its 6 main areas, which include Limgrave, an area of grassy plains and ancient ruins, and Sealed, a reddish wasteland home to undead monsters. The open world is explored using the character's Mount Torrent as the main mode of transportation, though players may use fast travel outside combat. Throughout the game, players encounter non-player characters, NPCs, and enemies, including demigods who rule each main area and serve as the game's main bosses. Aside from the main areas, Elden Ring has hidden dungeons, catacombs, tunnels, and caves where players can fight bosses and gather helpful items. Elden Ring has a multiplayer system that allows players to be summoned for both cooperative and player versus player play over the internet. Cooperative play involves the placing of a summon sign on the ground, which causes the sign to become visible to online players who have used a corresponding item. If another player interacts with the sign, the player who placed the sign is summoned into their world. Cooperative players remain in the same world until the boss of the area is defeated or until a summoned player dies and is returned to their home world. In PvP combat, a summon sign is used to challenge another player to a duel, or the player can use additional items to invade the worlds of others. World hosts may use a taunter's tongue to increase the likelihood their world will be invaded by others and to decrease the time between invasions. If you want Souls-like game to play with friends, Elden Ring is perfect choice for you.
Brandish the Elden Ring. For all of us.
Number 4. No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is an action-adventure survival game played from a first- or third-person perspective that allows players to engage in 4 principal activities: exploration, survival, combat, and trading. The player takes the role of a specimen of alien humanoid planetary explorer, known in-game as a traveler or anomaly, in an uncharted universe. They start on a randomized planet near a crashed spacecraft towards the edge of the galaxy, and are equipped with a survival exosuit with a jetpack and a multi-tool that can be used to scan, mine, and collect resources, as well as to attack or defend oneself from creatures and hostile forces. The player can collect, repair, and refuel the craft, allowing them to travel about the planet, between other planets and space stations in the local planetary system, engage in space combat with alien factions, or make hyperspace jumps to other star systems. While the game is open-ended, the player may follow the guidance of the entity known as the Atlas to head toward the center of the galaxy. If you want to explore planets with your friend, go on and try No Man's Sky. Number 3. Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 is a first-person loot shooter. Players, either playing alone or in parties of up to 4 people, make a character from one of the 4 classes available and take on various missions given out by non-playable characters, NPCs, and at bounty boards to gain experience, in-game monetary rewards, and reward items. Players can also gain these items by defeating enemies throughout the game. As the player gains level, they gain skill points to allocate across a skill tree. The game introduces 4 new playable characters: Amara, a siren who summons ethereal fists; Mose, a young gunner who rides the Mecha Iron Bear Zane; an operative with a variety of gadgets; and FL4K, a robot beastmaster who summons creatures to aid in fights. Unlike previous Borderlands games, where each character had only one unique skill that operates on a cooldown, each character in the new game can unlock 3 unique skills, though only 1, or in Zane's case, 2, can be equipped at a time, greatly expanding the number of potential character builds a player can make. Download and try Borderlands 3 if you think that's game for you and your friends. Number 2. Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is a first-person perspective action-adventure game. At the beginning of the game, the player selects their procedurally generated player avatar. The game is set in a shared world, which means groups of players will encounter each other throughout their adventures. Solo and duo players sail around in a nimble sloop, while players playing in a group control a larger 3-person brigantine or a 4-person galleon cooperatively by assuming different roles, such as steering the ship, manning the cannons, navigating, boarding enemy ships, and scouting from the crow's nest. Players can save the loadout of the ship and customize the ship's hull, figurehead, sails, and captain's quarters, as well as name their ship. Occasionally, players may encounter hostile players who may attack them with cannonballs or board their ship. If areas under the deck take damage, water will flow in and cause the ship to gradually sink. Players need to patch up the holes with planks of wood and bail out water using buckets. If you want to venture into a pirate life and sail the seas with your friend, try out this one. Number 1. Minecraft. Minecraft is a 3D sandbox video game that has no required goals to accomplish, allowing players a large amount of freedom in choosing how to play the game. The game also features an optional achievement system. Gameplay is in the first-person perspective by default, but players have the option of a third-person perspective. The game world is composed of rough 3D objects, mainly cubes, referred to as blocks, representing various materials, such as dirt, stone, ores, tree trunks, water, and lava. The core gameplay revolves around picking up and placing these objects. These blocks are arranged in a 3D grid, while players can move freely around the world. Players can break or mine blocks and then place them elsewhere, enabling them to build things. The game also contains a material called redstone, which can be used to make primitive mechanical devices. If Minecraft is your game of choice, go on and try it. That was our list of open-world co-op games for today. If you found some of the games you like, please remember to drop a like and subscribe to our channel.